What's up everyone? Jeremy from Mythic Customs here with a quick tutorial video on how to Dremel heads to add some custom looks to your Mythic Legions figures. So as you get started customizing Mythic Legions, one of the first things you're likely to do is to swap heads. A lot of the figures come with multiple heads to begin with, so popping off one head and putting on another is a great place to start getting some different looks for your figures. You'll certainly start moving beyond that to swap parts across different figures. So maybe you take an orc head and you put it on a Templar Knight body to create like a cool Templar Knight orc. You can have a lot of fun with that and create some really cool characters. But in short order, you're probably going to start looking beyond just the Mythic Legions line to some other toy lines. If you're looking at other toy lines, one of the things you're going to find is the neck posts and the neck holes on Mythic Legions heads are typically much larger than you find on a lot of other figures, like say Masters of the Universe. So Masters of the Universe Classics are a great line to use heads from for your Mythic Legions figures, in part because Four Horsemen Studios had such a role in the Motu Classics line to begin with, that the general aesthetic and the quality of the sculptures work really well across those two lines. But if you pop off a Motu head and try to put it on a Mythic Legions body, you're going to realize that the hole opening inside of the Masters of the Universe head will not go on the Mythic Legions neck post. It's just, they're not compatible out of the box. But it's a very easy fix and it requires dremeling. So dremeling is one of those customization techniques that a lot of people, especially early on, find a little bit intimidating, but it's really not a big deal. It's called dremeling because it uses this tool, this Dremel tool. This is something you can get at a variety of places. I know they sell it at hardware stores like Lowe's. I got this particular one off Amazon. They sell the same one at Lowe's. Amazon, it was like 40 bucks. I think at Lowe's it's probably about 50. It's a lower cost unit and it's totally fine. Based on what you're looking to do, this is more than sufficient. There are a number of different attachments that you can get for a Dremel. The attachments that I use specifically for dremeling out the neck openings inside of heads, it's an engraving cutter tool. That's what they call it. They come in a couple different sizes. I have one that's not super tiny because the smaller you go on the engraving tip, the longer it's going to take you to really Dremel that plastic out. So I go with one that's a little bit larger, but you can experiment with a few different ones to see what works for you. These tips just easily come out no problem. This particular unit has a few different speeds, but I usually go right up to about the largest speed, the most intense speed, to really get a lot of that plastic out quickly. So what you're going to do here, I have a head. This is a head from a Masters of the Universe Classics unnamed one. It's actually a great head. It's a cool figure to begin with. But what's cool about it from a customizing standpoint is it comes with these two different heads. And they look really similar to Mythic Legions goblins. So I know that at one point I used this armored head. Let's see, this armored head that he came with. I did that. I put that on a dwarf scale body. I painted the ears green to match the color of the Mythic Legions goblins, but I got a really cool like armored brute like orc out of that. And I did, armored brute like goblin out of that. And then the other one here, this one that's, more wizardy, it's got like a hood and stuff. I actually used that on another Masters of the Universe Classics body, but I swapped out some hands. I did some paint there to really make that look like a wizard type goblin. But this head could go on any goblin body and it would look really, really cool. You could totally it doesn't have to be on a Masters Classics. You could pop that right on a goblin body and you've got a cool character right there. So how do you Dremel these pieces? It's not difficult. What you're going to want to do, a few tips. Number one, you're not going to want to do this like I'm here in my basement in my collection room. This would not be an appropriate spot to do this. You're going to tend to make a mess when you Dremel heads. If you're Dremeling actual like production pieces, there's going to be a lot of plastic that comes out. If you're dremeling something that's like a cast, like a resin cast type piece that you get, that's even worse. It's like dust that comes out. So if you're going to Dremel either of these, I do suggest you might want to wear some eye protection and like a breathing mask. That will certainly be helpful. And you're going to want to do it in a place like a garage or a workshop type area where you don't mind getting it a little messy. Do it over a trash can or something. What I like to do whenever I'm dremeling is you're going to use this and you're basically just going to go around the edge of the opening in the action figure's neck hole to make it larger, to widen it. There's an opportunity for you to slip as you do that. And if you slip, remember the Dremel is on, you could hit the face of the character and gouge that face. That's probably the worst thing that you can do as you're dremeling these. So what I like to do whenever I'm dremeling is I always put my finger, my thumb I should say, over the most delicate area of the head that I'm dremeling. That would be the face itself. So especially if I'm doing a character that's got like a human face, I'm putting my thumb right over that face. That way if I slip, I'm not going to gouge the face. I might hit my thumb a little bit, but at least I'm not messing with that action figure. So that's how I do. And then I just put this on and I just go around the edges. Just take your time and be careful with it. If you want to try it out on some figures that maybe you don't plan on using just to get some experience, grab some cheap characters, some cheap figures from a flea market or a toy show or something, and just pop the heads off and just mess around with them. As long as they have that whole opening there that you can widen, that's really what you're going for. But with this, you're just going to largen that hole. You're just going to make it larger, and then take it slow and test multiple times. There's no reason to go really, really deep, really, really fast, and try to get it all done at once. You can always come back and do more. So what I will do is I will start dremeling out, and then I will take the figure I'm going to put it on and I will test to see how that fit is. If I haven't gone enough, if I haven't taken out enough plastic, it's not actually popping on, then I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. It's not an exact science, to be honest with you. Sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to find that you Dremel, and then when you finally put it on the figure body, it's really, really loose. If that's the case, get a little bit of blue tack. So blue tack is that putty-like substance. It's usually used to hang like posters on walls or so forth. Again, I get that from Amazon as well. It's a few bucks for a whole pack. Works great when you're talking about adding custom heads, when you need a little bit of stickiness to keep it there. If the head you dremeled is too loose, a little bit of blue tack on top of the neck post, pop the head on and it will stay there. There are other times where it just fits perfectly, where you're starting to Dremel and you get to that point that you pop it on the neck post and it almost feels like a production piece. It hugs it so well. You still have all the movement of it. That's a really great great feeling when you get it to that point. But either one, just take your time. Again, I like to cover the face of the figure and then just scrape right around, and this will be on. So once the Dremel's on and you go around there, you're going to see this cutter tip start to actually cut into the plastic, and the plastic will start flying out. That's why I said you want to do it in an area where you don't mind getting some plastic shavings all around. So super simple. You can do this with heads from certainly Master of the Universe Classics. That's the one I've used a ton of over time. I've done it with some different NECA figures. You can do it with Marvel Legends. I tend to find that Marvel Legends heads are a little small for Mythic Legions bodies, but some of the larger Marvel Legends figures, especially maybe some of the Build-A-Figures, those heads will probably fit really, really well, except for, again, that neck opening. So using a Dremel to make those wider are going to give you a whole bunch of different display options that you can outfit. I have my Goblin Army here. You can outfit your Goblin Army. You can outfit your Barbarians, your Skeletons, whatever heads you are going to use in Dremel to outfit, this is a way you can do it. Hope you found it helpful. Thanks for joining.